piece called Our Second Date from a series of works called Traffic series. And the second date told the story of our second date together, which was going to go see Godard's film Weekend in this little movie theater in Paris. So the kind of form that we came up with was to work with miniatures, sculptural miniatures, and live video cameras that would film those models live and produce an edit onto a video projection screen that would kind of tell this story in a nutshell. So in this story, there's two kind of parts to it. There's Jen and myself watching the movie, and then there's these elements of this part that is an actual recreation of a scene from that film. So there's the kind of world of the film, and then us watching that film kind of over on this side that are all kind of woven together.
Yeah, and it also, it also sort of related to film theory in that we were, really thinking that like our favorite category from especially Starsky and Hutch, the Every Shot, Every Episode project, was the reaction shot. Because they're stunning. You're just cutting from person to person to person who's reacting to, to something unseen off screen. And so this project is all about the reaction shot and also the emotional, kind of space of being on a second date. Because the first date is, you've just been introduced to someone and you're out in the city, with this person that you're trying to discover. And the second date is much more problematic because you've already covered some territory, talked about, where you went to school and what you want to do and, where you're from and who your parents are. And the second date is much more about, how do we live in culture together? And so if whoever chose the movie is on the hot seat, because you're sitting in the movie trying to think about, well, what am I going to say after the movie? So you're living in like 3 or 4 different time zones. You've got the space of the movie and the narrative and what's going on in the plot. You've got the future of what you're going to say when it's over, particularly if it's Weekend, where it's like you could talk about anything from, the French bourgeoisie to communism to anything. Jesus, get this away. Sorry. And, well, it helped. And so you've got this sort of, and then you've got the physical time in the theater of like, where is his hand now? Where's my hand? Did my knee just brush? If I move my knee away, does he think it's not, going to happen? And but I really do need to scratch my knee, so I'm going to move it away. So you've got all of these times that are really interrupting each other because if you're thinking about one thing, you can't focus on the film, and if you can't focus on the film, you can't talk about it later. So the whole, time is breaking down and rebuilding in this, 90-minute spectacle. So we tried to do that. So what you see if you're in the gallery is you see the space of the movie, which in this case is just this long tracking shot that Godard made of these stalled cars and this young couple trying to get through this. And then it cuts to Kevin and I reacting, by horns, and then it cuts back again. Okay.
Yeah. We've done a lot of stuff with the miniatures and live camera thing. It's been fun, but there's other stuff that we've been doing as well too. And this is more representative of what's going on in this in this show. This piece that we're showing here is called Vice Presidential Downtime Requirements, and it's part of a series of works. Oh, hang on, this got messed up, so I have to figure this out again. Hang on a second.
So again, we were sort of back to the found database. And in this case, the found piece of paper was the Dick Cheney's downtime requirements. So it's a contract that people write, especially in the entertainment industry, when you're going to be traveling and you want your specifications of what you'd like laid out in the room. You'd like that prepared for you in advance. And so these are pretty easy to find on the internet. And the work that Kevin just is loading now is Jennifer Lopez, and you can see the list under glass of what she likes to have. So she's got music requirements, and she makes juice, I think. That's 9 Inch Nails. They have a juice. They have a blender and a bunch of vegetables. There's some porn and some other stuff. And so it's in a band it's interesting because you see these these wants and needs kind of all folded together.
So this is a copy of the Guns N' Roses dressing room requirements and all of the things that they want. And so we find this as a kind of ready-made portrait, kind of a consumer social portrait, and then simply just reproduce what those things are. And that one is here. So that's Guns N' Roses. And so we've done a series of them about kind of pop stars. And then for this show here is our first one, you know, getting a hold of the Dick Cheney. This is for his speaking tours, you know, which will, you know, I'm sure he'll be doing a lot more of in, you know, the coming year. And it's just really there's something that's really kind of satisfying about it. Kind of seeing these you know, kind of media, you know, whatever, these stars or these kind of media people find this kind of common denominator in terms of the kinds of commodity products that we all kind of share in common.
Yeah, and the idea kind of stemmed from, you know, Warhol talking about Elizabeth Taylor, and that you could drink the same Coke that Elizabeth Taylor would drink because it's a product that is uniform. And then with Dick Cheney, the added twist in it was that he requested Fox News be on, so you could really think of him as a viewer as well, and think about the vice president watching, you know, this sort of endless channel unfolding. And it also makes the piece very present because you know, part of the installing the work is the necessity to have the cable set to Fox News at all times. So it's a very, you know, it's always changing and always present with the, you know, today's news and today's, you know, today's television in the room. I also like the way the TV looks with the red bedspread in this case. And that's the other thing, is when you do a, you know, a list project, essentially, you know, that when, you know, Judith mentioned that the show is going to tour, and so we're very open to each venue kind of recreating this installation for us as it goes. So all the objects will be, you know, reimagined as it goes to different venues.
That's it. What do we do?